Tonight, it's time to play catch-up on a lot of tentpole films that, up until this point, I've largely ignored. Cinematic class is about to begin. Your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And before we get into the films tonight, how about a little word about a brief war that transpired between the studios and the critics. The mask and the distancing fiasco that came along with the Wuhan virus really caused studios to become quite brazen with their lack of reviews. They thought, erroneously, that if they could get enough likes from fanboys and geek boys on social line, that they would not need to have the critics. It wasn't very long before they proved that that simply does not work. And that was revealed in the comments that were usually put underneath the fanboy sites. You see, people want a voice that they can trust when it comes to movies, just like your own cinematic professor. Well, now that the Wuhan virus hoax are revealed, and slowly the studios are opening up to screenings one more time. You see, they realize the power that certain critics can sway, especially me in this Pittsburgh market. More turn to me in my reviews than whatever intern is doing a movie review on either of the daily digital newspaper sites. The numbers prove that one. So these are the tentpole movies that the studios put out thinking they could undercut the critics, but they couldn't. And now I'll explain to you why that happened. Let's start with Halloween Kills. This was released a little while back. Folks, this is simply a gore fest. There's a very high, bloody body count, even for a Michael Myers movie. Many of the kill scenarios are simply impossible. Once again, they tease with the face. You know, somebody always wants to show Michael Myers' face, but the uniqueness of this character is that you don't see his face. It does wrap up a few of the older characters prepping for the big finale, which is coming out soon. Jamie Lee, yeah, she's actually looking a little ragged in this movie. She looks like she's been haunted by a supernatural killer for decades, and it shows. This one is strictly for fans of the series. It serves as the connection film between the new reboot and the final conclusion coming later. We're going to give this one a C+.
Next Halloween, when the sun sets and someone is alone, he kills.
All right, let's turn our attention now to Spider-Man. Tom Holland's series really worked its way into a corner. It seemed that through 2 movies, almost all of the main characters knew the secret identity of Spider-Man. Well, so much for secret identity, right? And by the end of the last movie, literally everyone on the planet knew who Spidey was, thanks to J. Jonah Jameson. In addition, the Spidey series was really too PC. Aunt May transformed from a doting old lovely lady to a hot Italian mama in the guise of Marissa Tomei. MJ went from a dashing redhead to a brainiac black girl. Flash Thompson went from a giant jock bully to a a nerd, and Peter had a fat Latino friend who knew his secret identity and helped him on missions. This was all put in for the sake of diversity. Well, all this needed to change, for the entire Spider-Man saga was drifting at incredible speed far past its original legend. Now, this movie serves as a reset and hopefully brings the webhead back to legend without all that diversity training thrown in. This film is a bit of a stretch, though. The movie is one of many coming out dealing with the multiverse. I absolutely despise the multiverse. I'll explain that a little bit later in my review of Doctor Strange. In this film, by the time the other Spideys all arrive, the concept of the multiverse has been strained, and that entire sequence is cute for the other actors, but it really begins to wear thin very quickly. We're going to give this one a B+.
Truth is, I accidentally brought those dangerous people here.
We started getting some visitors.
The world, if you're watching, wish me luck.
Every universe.
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man could really use some.
You're flying out into the darkness to fight ghosts.
What do you mean?
They all die fighting Spider-Man. It's their fate.
Ever since I got bit by that spider, I've only had 1 week where my life has felt normal.
Spider-Man is all but invincible. But Parker, we can destroy him.
This is all my fault. I can't save everyone. But together we can. You are not alone.
Don't do this.
We have to try.
There has to be another way!
There isn't.
Peter, it's time to get up.
So, you know, the show is sponsored by House of Fairuza, located at the corner of South Park Road and Drake Road. And I mention this because, you know, Sam is an excellent barber, and his assistant, Corey, equally fine. They have, well, let's face it, the weather's starting to warm up, and pretty soon we'll be wearing our flashy spring and summer attire with a multitude of colors. And what better way, really, to get yourself a nice new look. Even I got rid of the old playoff beard, even though the playoffs are still on. And believe me, Sam has a great look in line just for you. It's lined up, and some products inside the place that are absolutely unbelievable. I know I use them daily. They're just, you know, to quote a phrase, all a man can be, okay? They're really good stuff. Check them out. Give Sam a call down there. The House of Fairuza Barber Shop, located at the corner of South Park Road and Drake Road. You know, Kenneth Branagh is really a creative filmmaker. His Frankenstein, or his version of Frankenstein, is still very noteworthy, even if it features the now absolutely repugnant globalist progressive Robert De Niro. His Belfast was really deserving of Best Picture of the Year last year. Now, several years ago, he tackled a fictional icon, that is Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot. Branagh directed a remake of Murder on the Orient Express. I believe that was the third or fourth remake of that novel. And he also played the lead role in that movie, joining the ranks of such stars including Peter Ustinov, John Malkovich, Albert Finney, Alfred Molina, Ian Holm, and yes, even Tony Randall. Some rather prestigious company, wouldn't you say? As most good directors, Branagh took a few liberties with this character and with the story as well. The remake was a big success. And so, Branagh returns as Poirot in Death on the Nile. Now, the adage claims that success breeds contempt, and it is verified in this second remake. Branagh really distorts the character, turning him into a disturbed and deformed psychotic. He also commits the mortal sin of drama directors, and he inserts modern-day Moors into a time movie just to satisfy the current progressive agenda. This version of the Christie mystery contains lesbianism and racial themes, none of which were available in the first and original story. In order to infuse these items, some of the major characters from the original story are eliminated, and that happens to the detriment of the film. This second time around is really no charm. Branagh loses the magic he captured in the first. He uses an established fictional character to smear the iconic status of that character and to foster modern-day progressivism. We're going to give this one a D.
The romance of the desert has the power to seduce. I ask you, have you ever loved so much? Been so possessed by jealousy that you might kill.
Folks, of all the stars who played Batman, Robert Pattinson is the second worst. He's way too thin to be the caped crusader, even after they add all that padding of the suit to him. As Bruce Wayne, where the actor really needs to shine, he is cardboard. Anyone singing his praises about his performance in The Batman is obviously still sparkle-struck from his vampire days. Grow up, girly. Conversely, I got to tell you, this is one of the better Batman scripts. It has more scenes of Batman in his costume than any of the other films. And that's probably because the producers knew how bad Pattinson was as Bruce Wayne. If Ben Affleck or even Christian Bale had this script, this film could have been epic. Colin Farrell is good as the Penguin, new twist on him, but he's not as good as Burgess Meredith and certainly not as good as Danny DeVito. In this version, Catwoman is black. She is hearkening back to the days of Eartha Kitt on the TV show. But they go a step further and they make her a non-binary character. This is totally unnecessary to the plot, and to compound the annoyance, Lenny's little daughter is not a fighter. She can't even fake it well. Her fight scenes are all obviously CGI. I don't know what upsets me more. The fact that they have to include the agenda by making Catwoman a black, non-binary character, or the fact that they pick someone who is black and non-binary but can't fight and have to use digital enhancement to put her in there. I think that upsets me even more. Paul Dano is fine as the Riddler. He certainly leaves Jim Carrey in the dust, but he really doesn't come close to beating out Frank Gorshin in that role. There is a little darker element to this film, but it eschews from the incompetence of Batman, who is supposed to be the world's greatest detective. And this one, he's lucky he can find his way in and out of the suit. There's a little bit too much PC agenda in this film. I was not a fan, and we still have 2 more of these to go because Pattinson signed a trilogy deal. Rating on this one, C-.
From your secret friend.
Underneath the bridge,
Who?
Topper sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped
Having a clue.
all become my pet.
Let's play a game. Just me and you. Any of this mean anything to you?
this too.
How am I part of it?
You'll see.
You know, we really wouldn't have a show if I didn't take the opportunity to give something away, right? Okay, through the Wuhan nonsense for the last 2 years, the airline companies have collectively made flying an absolute nightmare, and it reflects in the movies. Flying has become a horror event. We have had vampires on planes. We have had zombies on planes. We have had sharks on planes. We have snakes on planes. And now we have a demon on a plane. Here's what I'm talking about. It's called Row 19. And this is the latest coming to us from the fine folk at Well Go USA. This one looks pretty creepy, I got to tell you. And I'm going to give you a chance to have this in your very own video collection. You know the rules by now. All you need to do is send your name and address to filmcritic3@verizon.net. Now, I have a dozen of these to give away. So the first 12 people to send me an email with their name and return address, I'll pop one of these right in the mail to you, and you'll be able to add this to your home video collection. I've watched half of this already. It's pretty eerie. I think you horror films will really like this one. It's called Row 19. Here's a look.
Are we serious? I'm flying to see my grandpa tomorrow.
Are we falling?
Mommy, I'm scared.
I'm starting to confuse reality with my nightmare.
What are you talking about?
An old woman. I think she wants to finish what she started.
What do you want from me?
Horror at 30,000 feet. There it is. Row 19. Send me your name and return address, and I'll be glad to pop one in the mail to you. You can add it to your home video collection. You know, Resident Evil went through a reboot. We got rid of Mila Jovovich. I was sad about that one. And we have Welcome to Raccoon City. I enjoyed this reboot. I got to... You know, boy, I made the mistake of watching it with some folk who are very avid game players, and they found an awful lot of problems with the character interpretations in this movie, especially someone called Leon, who they absolutely despise the way he appeared in this movie. I didn't know the character. I didn't know any of the characters, so I was happy with this. I really thought that not having any foreknowledge of them made the movie a whole lot more enjoyable to me. I thought it was a very good action reboot, and we're going to give it a B+.
Hello? What's your name?
What the hell happened here?
The Umbrella Corporation's been experimenting on this town since we were kids. People are getting sick. We have to stop Umbrella.
Show me your hands! What the
The world needs to know what's really going on.
Dad?
of this town.
Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. Rated R. Exclusively in movie theaters November 24th.
So far tonight, all the movies I've been telling you about have been playing catch-up with some of the big tentpole franchises that were purposely not screened for critics. This one was screened for critics. We're back in the groove again. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. You know, first let me tell you that the multiverse sucks, and it's utilized simply to appease fanboys who want to see all these different variant and subpar characters from the graphic novels put into the movies. Now, having said that, and I'm sure I'll be reading a lot of emails about it, Marvel seems to be taking Doctor Strange down a very strange road, shall we say. Sinister Strange appears in this movie, but not so much as an antagonist, but as a provider of additional powers to the Doctor. The movie has a very flaming opening and is quickly followed by a big-eyed octopus. I heard of big-eyed fish, but this was the first time I saw a big-eyed octopus. It really has shades of that giant starfish in the Suicide Squad movie. Doctor Strange 2 is chock full of special effects and is basically mindless popcorn fun. The theme is Mommy wants her little boys, and all hell breaks loose simply because of that simple premise. Of course, Disney is involved in this, so there is agenda galore. America Chavez is played by Xochitl Gomez. And this is an Hispanic woman who coincidentally is named America. With an invasion at our southern borders, the irony on this cannot be lost. America's parents are revealed in a flashback sequence, and guess what? She has two mommies. Totally irrelevant to the story. Wanda wants her boys back, and she uses her Scarlet Witch persona to retrieve them. This is all from a company who currently is supporting abortion against children, and then when children are born, is supporting the transgender agenda to be taught to them in kindergarten. This is an odd set of events. When Christine Palmer, who once again is played by Rachel McAdams, opts to marry someone other than Stephen Strange, it's naturally a black man. It has to be. Haven't you watched TV lately? See all the commercials? Those are the only people marrying nowadays. Black man, white woman. That's all that happens. And thanks to the multiverse, we now have a female Captain America, a black female Iron Man, and these are in there just to keep the fan geeks joyous. None of these are absolutely relevant to the story, and they're placed simply to appease the progressive agenda. It's annoying. It's like a toothache. Benedict Cumberbatch has a franchise character in Doctor Strange. It's a role he can take very lightly and doesn't have to be too serious about. That's kind of good. At the end of the movie, there's a teaser. Doctor Strange will return, very much like you see at the end of the James Bond movies. So there is also a setup for Doctor Strange 3 with the appearance of Clea, and that comes during the end credits. Benedict Cumberbatch is an actor with amazing talents beyond those required to play a superhero. But if staying with the Doctor Strange franchise keeps him from ever working with Jane Campion again, that's definitely worth it. We're going to rate this one a B+.
In 5 days.
You're wondering what happens now.
The Illuminati will see you, Stephen.
Oh, that's something.
The multiverse will change you forever.
We will see what kind of Doctor Strange you are.
Marvel Studios' Doctor Strange, rated PG-13, seating premium large formats in IMAX.
So I also wanted to give you a heads up on a couple of movies that Netflix put out that I had an awful lot of fun watching. One is called The Adam Project with Ryan Reynolds. It's funny. You'll see a lot of connections to that between that movie and and Free Guy, though this is a little bit more kid-oriented, and a movie called The Bubble, which I had an awful lot of fun with. Here's a look at both.
Can we maybe slow down? There's no one even following us.
Don't look back. Look up.
I think we're about to have some company. Stop the car.
What? What?
Stop! Go, 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 go. Reverse!
What is happening?
You know what you have to do. Stop time travel from ever being invented.
Boom.
What's your plan?
Well, I'm not going to explain my plan to a 12-year-old nerd with an
You don't
inhaler because I do
have
not
a
have a
plan.
plan, but I know somebody who does.
Dad.
I'm the godfather of time travel?
The Atom Project. How'd you get to be so smart?
How'd you get to be so dumb?
Nice try.
Welcome to the start of production of Cliff Beast 6. Thank you for joining us in our bubble.
Please make sure you're wearing proper PPE. Physical touch is, of course, off the table. So I would recommend making sweet eyes at each other. I'll show you what that looks like.
This is so exciting. It's like my movie posters have come to life.
You will soon learn to hate these people.
This movie's gonna make the world forget about all their problems. What we're doing is edgy. It's real.
Hey guys, I don't feel so good.
Some of you tested positive for influenza.
Lauren! I think something's up with Lauren.
Which is the good virus.
Should we be concerned about, this level of vomit?
I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me.
They're keeping us here against our will.
There's been a breach.
I don't really ever wanna talk.
Send help!
I wanna talk. Guess I'm going back to the so I'm a big bag hunter with the bow. She got a big bed, number drop it low. Mama called me and she happy with.
Are you nervous to meet the dinosaurs?
Mom, they're not real.
I thought there was an elephant wearing a mask or something.
Say that is all the time we have for today. Don't forget to get your copy of Row 19 in our giveaway this week. Now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.